Hello cuties, and welcome to my heroic Dark Animus 25-man guide. I'm going to assume that you have done this encounter in normal mode, and as such, I will not be covering most of the normal mode abilities. For this encounter, you want to bring 3 tanks, 6 healers, with the rest of the raid being DPS. Warlocks and Hunters make this encounter a lot easier, as their pet can tank a small golem very easily. Death Knight tanks are also very good here, as they can tank a massive golem solo without needing a tank swap. We'll talk more about this later. This encounter in Heroic has a few major changes. The first one is that Dark Animus will activate as soon as you activate the encounter, and he will start with 52 anima. This change will force you to tank Dark Animus right as the encounter starts. Second, Dark Animus will cast Empower Golem about every 16 seconds, which will heal the lowest health golem by 3% and increase its damage done by 24% for the remainder of the encounter. This affects stacks. This ability is just something you have to deal with and shouldn't pose a problem. Third, he will cast Siphon Anima every 20 seconds and will not start casting it until 2 minutes into the encounter. This will essentially give you 2 minutes to set up all the golems by killing and activating the ones you need for phase 2. And lastly, the anima rings will give whoever gets hit by them a stacking debuff that hits for 30,000 fire damage per stack every 3 seconds for 15 seconds. This shouldn't pose a problem either, as you only have to soak 2 to 3 rings each time, so healing shouldn't be an issue on the soaker. The first thing you want to do is to split up the raid on each golem. I made a very good looking MS Paint picture to show you guys. As you can see here, the healers stand in the middle, 3 on each side, to make sure they can reach everyone on their side. Melee DPS are best on the middle top golems, the ones that are standing by the boss, as they can easily drag their golem down to the boss from there. Ranged DPS take the back golems at top left and top right, excluding the golem right beside the massive ones. These are tanked by a tank on each side. Lastly, the purple dots are tanked by hunters and or warlock pets. The reason you want to do this is because when a hunter or warlock gets matter swaps, his pet will sit there and tank the golem without moving. This is important as you don't want too many golems running around the room and powering the other golems. These 6 golems will be the ones you kill in phase 2, so you can mark these if it helps, and make sure you do not kill these until later in the encounter. The Dark Animus tank picks up Dark Animus and the middle golem, the green dot here. During the first phase, you want to feed 8 small golems to each massive golem. In this picture, you would feed all the red dotted small golems to the massive golem on that side, and all the blue dotted small golems to the massive golem on that side. You do not kill the purple dotted small golems until later in the encounter. Also, you kill the green dotted small golem that your Dark Animus tank is tanking anytime before 2 minutes is up. Make sure that Dark Animus soaks this anima. Once you have set up who stands where, you want to pull Dark Animus and the 1 small golem tanked by the Dark Animus tank to the middle of the room as soon as the encounter starts. As the tank is getting into position, have your melee follow with their golems, and as soon as Dark Animus is in position and the melee can attack Dark Animus, use Heroism or Bloodlust and have most of your DPS go hard on the boss. While the melee are moving into position, make sure you put as much threat on your golem as possible so it doesn't aggro someone else. You want to cause as much damage to the boss as possible during Heroism, but it's important that you keep some kind of consistent damage on each golem. Shadow Priests, Warlocks and Moonkins excel at this, as they can keep dots up on the golems within a range and on the boss at the same time, to make sure that by the time Heroism ends, you can kill your golems pretty quickly. Just make sure you watch threat, as you don't want to pull aggro off someone else's golem. When Heroism ends, you want your melee to pull their golems out to a massive one on each side and kill the golems there. This will activate the massive golems. Keep pulling every golem to the massive ones and feed them anima, except for the 6 ones at the entrance, which you will save for later. If you don't have any Death Knight tanks, it is important that you activate the massive golems at the same time. If your melee is a warrior, paladin, monk or Death Knight, you can have them taunt a healer's golem and kill it once they're done with theirs to ease up on golems and kill them faster. As with normal mode, you want to dodge all the anima fonts throughout the encounter and make sure that you have a player that soaks the anima rings so your tank can move out safely. Once you have killed all but the 6 small golems by the entrance, put as much damage on the boss as possible as it goes into phase 2. Once the encounter has been on for 2 minutes, phase 2 kicks in. I have a spreadsheet that my guild used. As you can see here, Dark Animus will cast his Siphon Anima right at 2 minutes and then another one every 20 seconds after. You can also see that you will have about 6 minutes and 20 seconds to kill the boss before he gets full power. Do note though, that even if he does get full power, it is not an instant raid wipe, so make sure you keep DPSing if he's low and spread your raid out. Besides that, you can see the anima gains for each Siphon Anima and when to kill the small golems, as well as some of his other abilities you have to deal with during this phase. Let's talk about the tanking in phase 2. If you have a Death Knight tank or two, this makes it a lot easier. A Death Knight tank can use his AMS for Explosive Slam to negate its damage and not get a stack of debuff. If done properly, a Death Knight can solo tank a massive golem. If you do not have any Death Knight tanks, make sure you activate the massive golems at the same time in phase 1. This is to ensure that they will use Explosive Slam at the same time. Have one tank sit in Dark Animus the entire time and 2 tanks on the massive golems. Tank A will tank both massive golems, and when he gets hit by 2 Explosive Slams, one from each golem, Tank B taunts both massive golems from him. When Tank B gets 2 Explosive Slams, Tank A taunts them back. Rinse and repeat. Here's a picture of phase 2 positioning. This one here is without a Death Knight tank. As you can see, you need to make sure you have some soakers for the matter swaps that stands out and always gets swapped. Warlocks, Shadow Priests, Moonkins are normally best at this. Here's another picture, this time with at least one Death Knight tank. Same thing follows as the other picture with matter swap soakers. Let's go back to the spreadsheet real quick. As you can see here, after the second Siphon Anima, you need to kill 4 small golems out of the 6 remaining. Kill 2 of these small golems by a massive golem each, and the other 2 small golems by the remaining 2 small golems. Once this is done with, he will gain Interrupting Jolt after his 3rd Siphon. Interrupting Jolt does a lot of damage on Heroic, so you need to make sure you have a healing cooldown and a mitigation cooldown for each one. He will cast Interrupting Jolt every 20 seconds. One thing you have to keep in mind is that you have to keep an eye on the Interrupting Jolt timer and make sure everyone is at full health. So watch out for matter swaps during Interrupting Jolt and don't dispel right before or right after a jolt. Discipline Priests are really good at this because they can shield someone and then dispel matter swaps to remove a lot of its damage. We usually dispel around 7 seconds left of matter swap, but it's really dependent on when Interrupting Jolt is coming. Right after the 4th Siphon Anima, you need to kill the 2 remaining small golems, one by each massive golem. After this is done, the encounter doesn't change much. You dodge anima fonts, you soak anima rings, use a healing and damage mitigating cooldown for each Interrupting Jolt, dispel matter swaps, and the boss will eventually die. Don't forget that if for some reason he goes to 100 anima, you can still kill him by spreading out and DPSing as hard as you can, assuming he's low enough on health. I hope this guide helped you kill this crazed robot. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below or contact me in game. Thanks for watching and see you guys next time.